Let's get the meeting started. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The first ballot.
Welcome to our visitors today, Elaine Broadcamp and Legislator Munn and Todd Erling from HVADC to give us a report. Let's get on with our meeting and take the roll call.
Typically a visitor.
Mark Doyle? Amy Bondaderi? Tom LeCount?
Here.
Jeff Cohen?
Here.
Brian Berrien?
Here.
Lane Belmont?
Under conflict of interest disclosures, I would like to disclose that I'm also chair of the board of directors of HVADC. So if there's any discussion or actions which we are not contemplating on HVADC business, I will remove myself, excuse myself, but otherwise we will be hearing their report. And then are there any bills and communications from you guys?
None.
All right, so we should look at approval for the minutes from the last meeting, January 14th.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Thank you.
Brian Berrien?
Approved.
Jeff Cohen?
Approved.
Tom LeCount?
Approved.
Approve. Good. And Jane,
Yes.
you're online.
Okay.
Last time you said you weren't online, so this time you are.
2025 is still under audit right now, but for 2026, looking at the balance sheet, we have 3.7 million. One of the changes is our receivables, our long-term receivables has now moved into the short-term for Mirbeau and Belfield for 427,000. Arthur May is in the long-term since they extended their contract. Looking at the P&L, we have not much activity. Total income is 22,000 to a budget of 327,000. So far, we're unfavorable by 304,000. We have expenses of 9,000 to a budget of 764,000. So far, we're favorable by 755,000. We have a net loss. We have an income of 13,000 to a budgeted net loss of 438,000. So far, we're favorable by 451,000.
Good. So a quiet January.
Yes.
All right. Good. Are there any committee reports? I don't think so.
There aren't, but I just would like to note that we have 2 committee meetings coming up. We have the Policy and Review Committee that is scheduled to meet on Wednesday, February 25th at 11 a.m. And following that will be the Finance and Audit Committee, which is scheduled for Wednesday, March 4th at 10:30. Okay.
Thank you. And there's nothing unfinished that came over from the last meeting that you'd like to speak of?
Well, we do have something unfinished, but is now finished, and that would be our experience with the town of Hyde Park and the pilot confusion. Don or Liz, since in the previous meetings you guys were providing report outs, if I could ask you to be
Sure.
to finalize it.
So since the last meeting when this was discussed, the legislature considered the application from the wastewater authority to correct the clerical error that was made, where, if you recall, the special district pilots were included. 100% of them were included on the pilot invoice that went out, and it was paid. But at the same time, wastewater authority sent out a bill for the same amount. And so for 2 parcels, there were duplicate payments. And then for one, there was an outstanding balance from T-Rex. And so in order to correct that on the books and clear up that whole issue, the application was made by wastewater. It was approved by the legislature at its meeting last week.
You're welcome.
Is
Solving problems before I'm even here.
Is there any other business associated with that to conclude? Because obviously the legislature has made their move, but I assume that something else has to happen.
The last item is for, I believe, the commissioner, the resolution that was adopted by the legislature was for the commissioner of finance to actually go and make the refunds or make the corrections on the outstanding bills. And Jane had followed up with them last week, and they were going to get back to us with a more firm date of when that issue can be cleared up.
Right.
All right.
And then for future bills for 2026, we will continue with some of the projects where we bill for the special districts along with the pilot. We will continue to do that. And other projects where the town, so in the instance of the town of Hyde Park, they have been building for the wastewater, they will continue doing so. But fast forward to 2027, where the county then adopts a certain software with regards to their invoicing and such and their financial matters, then all of the special districts will be billed together with the real estate portion of property tax, or with the property tax portion. The IDA will only bill pilots. So that will take effect January 2027. So the IDA will only bill for pilots effective 2027.
So we just have to be really careful this year
Correct.
to get that
Correct.
tangled.
We have a follow-up meeting scheduled with Dutchess County Real Estate Property Tax Service, either late April, early May. That date is yet to be determined. We're still coordinating calendars, where we will, in fact, assure and ensure that each of the organizations involved and the assessor's office involved in these parcels and the billing and such, that everyone is clear with what action they're to take effective, May 2026, which is when the updated tax list is released. Jane, have I left anything out?
No. Well, just the few pilots that have exemption on special districts. So that's just something that we will have to
Correct.
address.
And those are pilots pre-2018. So it's a handful of them. Yeah,
So you're going to have sort of a standard operating procedure that
correct,
you lay out for everybody to see.
correct.
Okay. Excellent. So, that being.
And before we move on from this, I'd like to note that we did not have to make a payment to Dutchess County for arrearages. So I just want to close that out also. So in our December meeting, the board had authorized roughly 15,000 and some change to pay for arrearages on those parcels that were billed duplicatively. And the resolution also resolves that. And the board did not outlay any money at all.
Great.
So just wanted to close the loop on that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very good. Yeah, that's finally important because we had actually voted originally to attempt to solve it that way. So Robin, would you like to take us through the new business portion of the agenda?
Absolutely. So today we have 6 items before us. We've got 3 presentations total we have 1 presentation from Destination Dutchess, another from HVAC, which is the Hudson Valley Agribusiness Development Corp. I will be conducting a presentation on behalf of the IDA, LDC, and WEDC, and that's for Q4 performance. We then also have 2 resolutions for consideration. One to enter into a professional services agreement with Destination Duchess. The other is for professional services agreement with the LDC on behalf of services performed to the IDA. And finally, we will then have a few words from our incoming new member, Legislator Munn. But if we can begin with Destination Duchess and their presentation of 5 minutes of their Q4 performance, that would be wonderful.
Very good. So if you want to look in your packet at the pretty report, the numbers are all there if you want to look at the spreadsheets. We did very well in meeting goals, but just that overview on page 1, the industry-wide. I sit in webinar after meeting where people are saying, oh, our page views are going down because of AI, and ours are going up because of the great content that our team is consistently producing and putting out there, new articles all the time that is driving that traffic and feeding those algorithms to send people to our website. We hit an all-time high of over 900,000 views in just the fourth quarter, which is 46% higher than the same time the year before. International views were up, they're 36% of that total because of the great work that our team has been able to do, both our person on the ground there in Europe, in the German-speaking markets, and the work that we're doing here. A lot of that happens in Q4 because it's the booking season for the coming year. So we continue to be top of mind and a destination that, even despite geopolitical tensions, people still want to come to New York. They still want to come to New York. They still want to go to the city. They still want to come up and have that dual experience here in Dutchess County and the Hudson Valley. So we continue to build on those relationships. In fact, Dawn Hopper, who is my staff member that manages all that, was just in Switzerland and Germany. And because of these long-term relationships that we continue to build, has been able to work with United Airlines in Germany and Switzerland. They are going to fly at their expense media and trade to New York to come specifically to Dutchess County this year. So we're really excited about that. But, that's not a one and done, and you can't buy that. It's long-term relationship building. So we're looking forward to that. In terms of our Instagram, we hit 20,000 followers in Q4. So that was very exciting for us as we continue to grow that platform. And then, you have that 53% growth quarter over quarter. That's great, but it's also a little bit, the reason why is because we don't have a budget to be able to market consistently all year long. So we know how busy our fall is. So we don't eliminate it completely because we still need some of those day trippers, but we pull back in Q3, like September and October. So that's no surprise that it was so much greater than the quarter before. You see our companion brochures. We redid 3 of our companion brochures at the end of last year. We've got the arts one coming up in 2026. We continue to work. Rev 250 is a big thing going on right now, but we've been doing it for a couple of years. And so we continue with our plans. And in Q4, we worked with 4 of our breweries to do Commander and Cheers beers. And we're going to do that bigger and better in 26. We had a lot of great attention to it. Way to pull in our craft brewers into the history of what we're doing here. And craft beverages are a big part of our county's history. The Film Commission continues to work hard. They had an incredible fourth quarter, meeting their total spend goal in just that one quarter. So they did really well this year. The transition from Laurent Rejo when he passed away to Stacy Cormier Major, she's doing a great job, and she's meeting with our lodging partners tomorrow. We have a lodging roundtable to get them up to speed about what's coming up. Lots of great projects happening. If you were at the Galleria yesterday, you saw it look like Christmas in there because they're filming. So a lot of good things going on. Artsman Hudson continues to do a great job. They do the handmade pop-up shop at Father's Day, Mother's Day, and then also for the holidays, they had a 16% increase in spending this year at those handmade pop-up shops. When you go to page 2, you can see those highlights on our website, just those top spotlights in Q4 holiday markets and craft shows. People really looking for those unique, one-of-a-kind gifts that are locally made. Decorated historic sites for the holiday season in Dutchess was number 2 in terms of views, and Halloween frights and delights. So hitting all the months there as we highlight that. Page 3 gives a good highlight of our social media growth. You can see that continues to grow. Had a great TikTok, which is new for us as of last year. 75,000 plus plays and counting for a video at the Millbrook, the Trevor Zoo in Millbrook. Everyone loves a cute red panda. And so being able to get more and more views on that beats the best one before that, which was sheep and wool. Again, cute animals, but that was just 1,345 plays compared to 75,000. So, using what we can where we've got it. On the next page, we've got the PR efforts. We've got a great coverage in Afar, which is a major travel magazine. We worked with I Love New York. We hosted their social media team in Beacon so they could go around and highlight all the great things to see and do there. We worked with MMGY, bringing PR fam to Dutchess County for America 250 to highlight a lot of the things going on. Had reporters from Condé Nast Travel, Forbes, Maxim, Go World Travel. So really good work from our PR people. On the next page, page 5, just again showing those brochures. Over 170 Dutchess businesses are promoted in these 3 brochures in these different areas. If you skip to page 7, you see some of that international stuff I was talking about. Here's a magazine called Spartacus, and it's an international magazine and got a great spread here in their America special section. So highlighting the Hudson Valley, Dutchess County. It says Hudson Valley because that's more of a name that people know, but it's all about us. You want to look at the bottom of page 7, group tours. We had a heck of a fourth quarter with the federal government shutdown and our national park sites. So our team worked really hard to reroute those bus groups that were coming and called in a panic. We can't go to the FDR library. We can't go here. Fortunately, we have a lot of great private historic sites and state historic sites that we were able to divert them to. And they were very, very happy. So continuing good work there. And then page 9, our Destination Dutchess Trail Finder Experience Trails. There's 8 of them. We're going to be revamping the Story Finder History and Heritage Trail to be Rev 250 themed this year, but those continue to get 182 passes were downloaded from people coming from 16 different states in Q4. So once they see one, they often get another one. It's been a really great program for us. Page 10 gives you a rundown of the Film Commission and the work they've done. As I said, over 10 million in spending in Dutchess County by film productions. Best Medicine, 4 Seasons 2, Sunny, starring Angelina Jolie. A lot of productions coming. Over 4,000 room nights in Q4 were taken in Dutchess hotels. So that's great for all. 29 different locations were scouted and cataloged. Continue to grow filming in Dutchess County and the Hudson Valley. Page 11 gives highlights of Artsman Hudson's work. Their Dutchess partners and the arts program supported 28 events across 7 organizations, including the Beacon Bonfire Music and Art Festival, which I love because it happens in November. So just when we slow down, they ramp it back up. That's 5 days, 20 venues, 400 artists. It's a fantastic festival. If you've never been, plan to go this year. So really good things going on there. And then if you look on page 12, some of the art at Bellafield, they have a great partnership with the Inn there to showcase local artists, and 37 different works by Artsman Hudson people right now. Linda Lavin has her paintings there, and she hosted an artist talk in November. So that's been a really great partnership with them. I love how the hotel embraces local things. You can see on page 13, 22,000 spent at Dutchess Handmade Pop-Up Shop, 71 different regional artists there. If you look, the third block down at the top of that page, the Bardavon, 79% of their tickets come from people living outside of Dutchess County. So it is driving revenue into the county from outside folks who can also stay and have dinner or maybe go have a glass of wine at the wine cellar afterwards. So continuing to grow our economy through the arts. And that's all I have to share today. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I didn't time myself. I thought that was pretty good.
I ripped through the numbers.
Of course, I know that you read it cover to cover, so thank you for that.
Next, we have Todd Erling from HVADC to provide his Q4.
Thank you, guys. So we just wanted to build on a multiple-year professional services contract that we have, and we want to just always start out with saying we're appreciative and grateful with the long-term relationship. You know, HVADC was started originally with Dutchess, Orange, Columbia, and Ulster County working together as a regional effort. And the IDA has been one of those contractual partners from the very beginning. So we always start with that appreciation and acknowledgement. But if you look at this one sheet breakdown that we gave to you, knowing we had 5 minutes, our staff really broke it down into kind of 5 blocks. So we thought a minute a block, in Olympic time, and then we can build on any of that with questions and follow up. But the biggest thing is to remember that Hudson Valley Agribusiness is a business technical assistance service provider and a loan provider. We're the only CDFI that focuses solely on farm and food businesses in New York State, one of the few in the Northeast and nationally. And so with that, the 2 stories at the top there are just brief excerpts from monthly newsletters that we do called The Cultivator. And the one on the left is Chase Holden Farm. We closed successfully on financing with them earlier in 2025. And the success story there is that Chase Holden Farm is a generational transfer farm. They've pivoted from very traditional dairy that was obviously a historic mainstay in Dutchess County to being diversified and niche with a value-driven side to dairy now on pasture management and carbon sequestration. They're actually one of the farms that has really reported out and participated in carbon management with year-round grazing for their dairy farms, and then diversifying into their other products, which are both specialty crops that they get off the farm, like vegetables, et cetera, and other livestock. So you have poultry and meat and pork rather than just the dairy. But the story there with Rory is that they've also gone deep into value add. And on the farm, they have a creamery and they do cheese. And they really focus on the probiotic and unique side of living organisms that add to the value of the cheese, the taste of the cheese, et cetera. And then on the right, just to tie into the end of that, there was a Dairy Business Innovation Center grant that Chase Holden applied for. And as many of you know in this room, grants are typically reimbursement based. Mm-hmm. So you do the grant and then you ask for the reimbursement from the government entity or the philanthropic source. This happened to be out of the Northeast Dairy Business Innovation Center, which is up in Vermont. And we loaned Chase Holden the money as a bridge loan so they could complete the grant, and then they're able to actually request reimbursement. The loan also acts as a necessary match that they need because grants are typically 50-50 matches, 80-20 matches, 75-20. So it was a great effort because it allowed them to access new equipment, upgrades, and to be able to push into their value add side, but also have the working capital to get it done at a time when that can be very tricky. And love to go into it deeper. There were some tariffs involved and all those good things that no one saw when they put the application in. So really great success story, generational transfer. And it's also one of the farms that participates in conservation easement, purchase of development rights, and having their property ready for agriculture into the future and in perpetuity as a use. And then on the right, we have the Farm and Food Funding Accelerator update. And Emily and Maggie worked with us in our accelerator programs years ago, but this just shows the year-over-year relationship. And Malene mentioned it's never a one and done. Very rarely is it a one and done. She talked about the relationships in Germany and Switzerland. Same thing on the ground here. Emily and Maggie worked with us on a CSA and a separate farm site in Dutchess County, and eventually evolved into becoming managers at the Poughkeepsie Farm Project. And so we continue to have a relationship with them and working and supporting them with our accelerator services, which can be strategic business consulting. It can be different financial analysis. It can be sometimes legal and food safety inspection consulting. So that's just 2 quick stories out of the cultivator that we have for you. As we drop down, you'll see the Incubator Without Walls. That's our one-on-one business technical assistance program. Over the years, we've supported over 50 businesses in Dutchess County. In 2025, we had 4 businesses And, you know, that just complements the 325 across the region, which really plays into what Melina is saying is the Hudson Valley being, you know, a destination point, and Dutchess being an anchor of that. And then if you drop down into the agribusiness loan fund, you know, this is really a unique situation for us because we have always been able to use a combination of state and federal lending portfolio products that we've developed over the years. And that, as I mentioned, one of those loans was the Chase Farm home loan. We've also done current cassis in Dutchess County and Ronnybrook on previous years. And just know that we always have more in the hopper. We have over $1.6 million out in our portfolio right now. We can have up to about $2.5 million out as businesses come to us with solid loan proposals, and we're able to fund those. If you look down then into HVB, which is our Hudson Valley Bounty Program, it directly correlates with what happens with Dutchess, and we typically cross-tie what's in the Farm Finder with what we have on the website, how we tie into different storytellings and the cultivators, but you can see the various businesses listed in there and as they're always growing. And many of the same statistics that you see coming out of Destination Dutchess are what we track through the Hudson Valley Bounty website. Now, remember, that's a regional website that's looking for people that want to buy directly from farms, chefs that want to source from farms. You know, it's really kind of an all ever-reaching umbrella for business to business and consumer relationships. Feed HV, which was really born out of Dutchess County through the Community Foundation's effort. We continue on that. And one of the highlights I wanted to talk about was just the impact from the Dutchess County Fair. You know, almost 40 different vendors at the end of the fair donate the unused but still consumable food to Red Hook Responds and our HV Feed, Hudson Valley Feed program, which is really almost like an Uber for consumable food. We get volunteers to take food from farms, from vendors, from restaurants, directly to food pantries that can distribute it into the local community and into our food insecurity system. And then lastly, at the end, coming into our final 1 minute block of 5, you know, other initiatives. HVADC has worked to start an affiliate nonprofit called Farm and Food Growth Fund. The reason we're doing that is because we've been asked by New York State to work on projects beyond just the Hudson Valley. We've developed such an expertise and such a relationship here in the Hudson Valley that we've been asked to actually take on some statewide programs. So meat processing expansion grants, New York State Department of Agriculture, coupled with the governor and the legislature, specifically Senator Hinchy and Assemblywoman Lapardo leading, have actually created a competitive grant program for meat processors to expand. And we have a round 2 coming up in 2026. Also, there is the Food and Fiber Processing Grant. That's a grant that's actually been created. Empire State Development worked along with the Department of Agriculture to create a middle chain competitive grant program to try and get processing facilities to increase sourcing from New York State farms, but then also providing product to New York State markets. And specifically some of the initiatives of like farm to school and institutional buying and the governor's executive order, it's called EO 32, that directs state programs to buy directly from processors that are getting their food or their raw products from New York State farmers and track that and what the impacts are. And then lastly, the Dairy Modernization Grant. Again, that's another round. That's actually a grant program that we've developed with New York State Department of Agriculture to help dairy farmers modernize their bulk storage and their refrigeration and potential backup generator options for the milk when it's sitting on the farm before it's picked up by the processor. So it comes from the milking parlor. It needs to be stored in refrigerated tanks. Ideally, that happens once a day, once every other day, sometimes up to 72 hours. But you need to have the capacity on the farm if the truck breaks down, if there's a COVID situation where we start having a lack of workforce. And so as we've learned through the 2020 crisis, we've actually really been investing on the farms to help them have that redundancy and that backup. But it's also allowed them to shift to every other day pickups, which is better for the processor and better for the transportation companies. So we'll keep you posted. There's going to be another round of those upgrades available to our dairy farmers in 2026.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Thank you, Todd.
Absolutely.
Next item on the agenda is for the board's consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing executive director of the IDA to enter into an agreement with Destination Duchess for professional services. That agreement is in your packet. And essentially, it is the relationship between Destination Duchess and the IDA, where the IDA provides Destination Duchess, funding to support tourism and promotion and administrative services that advance economic development in Dutchess County. And so, I think I turned that over to you.
Yeah. Let's see if we could get a motion in a second. Go forward to that.
This is a continuation of our current meeting.
It's, yeah, a renewal.
It's a renewal.
425,000 still?
Yes. So it's a renewal. There is one add to the scope of service, which is something the board voted on in January, which was regard to rolling over funds from 2025 to
Right.
2026 for the purposes of marketing Hudson Valley Hotel Week in late January, early February this year. And that's just an example of how the funds could be used and to avoid or to remedy the Destination Duchess coming before the board in that similar circumstance in, next year and years beyond. And so that's really the only change to the scope of services and the agreement itself. The dollar amount extended will still be $425,000.
So maybe you could just describe the mechanism that allows that just a little bit.
Sure.
Since we're, in your,
What we did was included in the scope of service, that would be the Schedule A. If you,
the provisions.
under provisions, I'm trying to look at under provisions on the first page, the language included states, any unexpended funds from a given contract year may be rolled over into the successive year. The funds will be fully utilized by the end of the first quarter of that successive year. And that was how we remedied, what we experienced in January.
It's very helpful to us because our county budget is use it or lose it. And with Hotel Week, the whole purpose is to use it at a slow time of year when people aren't coming here. And we've been doing a great job of marketing it in December, but then when money runs out, we have nothing to spend in January, February to continue to push that promotion now that the holidays are over, people are really thinking about that getaway. So it's incredibly helpful to have money to put behind marketing, promoting that in January.
Because we pay in 2 installments, correct?
Correct.
So one is June 15th.
We usually get the first one now.
After
That's the reason for the spending into the first quarter.
Correct.
Yeah, so,
I have a month and a half of
Right.
no money. It's like-
Right.
yeah.
right, until we approve it. So I'll make a motion to enter an agreement with Destination Duchess for the $425,000 for 2026.
Second.
Thank you. Can I take the roll, please, Jasmine?
Brian Varian,
Approved.
James McCollum,
Approved.
Tom McCown,
Approved.
Mark Gold.
Approved. Thank you. That should be helpful.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have for the board for consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the executive director of the IDA to enter into an agreement with Dutchess County Local Development Corporation for professional services. And essentially, this agreement sustains the IDA's operational partnership with the LDC, and it allows the IDA to efficiently carry out economic development for Dutchess County. And that's through shared office space and equipment, and administrative support, with the inclusion of our business development teams, so business development, retention, and expansion, as well as business development and attraction, and to allow us to continue to operate here at 3 Neptune Road. It just ensures the continuity of services. Under the agreement, the LDC operates as an independent contractor, and it just establishes clear allocation of the costs, and provides infrastructure necessary to for the IDA to deliver its programs and services and such through 2026.
What was our funding for 2026 from the county?
250,000.
Same as the previous year?
Same as
Okay, so it didn't go up, okay.
No,
Which we can handle with our reserves, so.
correct.
So far.
So far, so, right, and the goal is the intention is during the budget season at the county, which commences around May, that we will then go back and ask for additional funding. There are some operational improvements that we do need to ensure efficiency with the IDA. A software program specifically to track the pilot projects, to easily assist with reporting out for Paris, for generating invoices. And so we've begun looking at different software to provide those services. So.
Do you think that would then be available to us this financial year or next?
So the software or
Software and
the software, we may have
any other
to,
enhancements, yeah.
we may have to procure the software in 2026.
Yeah.
So, but I believe we do have it within the budget to do so. Right now, we're still in the sourcing phase of a
Right.
of a platform that suits our needs. Yeah.
Good. Any other questions on our internal agreement? Essentially, the LDC is our employer, provides the
Provides the
for the
staffing.
staff, employment for the staff, and contracts with the IDA.
Correct.
I'll motion we enter the agreement.
I'll second. Good.
Second.
I'll second.
Brian Varian,
Approved?
Dan Pacone,
Approve.
Tom McCount,
Approved.
Mark Doyle.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. All right. Did you want to do any numeric presentation, or which do you want to do?
Just a really, really quick presentation of Q4 performance of the IDA. If you guys recall, in November, we reviewed Q3 data, and I complained about how those tables really wreaked havoc on my eyes. So instead, I just converted it to, text, and I'll be reading out from a script in front of me. And, just hitting really high level points with regards to business attraction and promotion. We placed a number of targeted ads in Site Selection Magazine and Business Facilities Magazine, highlighting the semiconductor and advanced manufacturing assets, which hit us at 150% of target. We maintained our presence with major industry events with Site Selectors Guild, the Paris Air Show, Semicon West, and the IAMC to strengthen relationships with, that will generate leads. So that too had us at 150% of target. Our digital engagement and visibility, LinkedIn engagement and exceeded the benchmark, which was 7.25%. We hit at 7.4%, which is just a little above. Facebook engagement remained steady state. We're finding that, you know, the work we perform here at Think Duchess with regards to business development and such, Facebook is really not the platform where people are, you know, going to look for IDA related information, LDC, or even any of the business development engagement. So we're looking to change our social media makeup with more focus on Instagram, of course, LinkedIn, and then also looking to tap our toe into TikTok, which would be where we're really highlighting the expansion and retention of our local businesses.
Sorry, it's interesting. So, and then with Destination Duchess, they also have quite a big section on YouTube, and that was one you did not mention.
So we have not stepped into YouTube. I am meeting with the team later on today, the team being our internal marketing team and our PR firm, to discuss further how we can make use of YouTube. And we know that we already have a channel, because that's where our IDA and LDC meetings are pushed out on, but leveraging what we already have with regards to not just retention and expansion, but also with attraction. So my meeting this afternoon is to discuss that with a PR firm. And then one thing we're also looking at is towards May, June of this year, we will put out an RFP for another PR firm for 2027. The current PR firm we have, though they're magnificent, they're located in New York City, which makes it a bit of a hindrance to have that local input, that local presence, and to really get the smell and the feel of Dutchess County to reflect in our social media outreach. So we're just trying to find the right mix.
This is our first year with that new firm, right?
Yeah. So 2025 was the first year.
Right. And they also saved us a bunch of money, right?
Saved us a bunch of money.
Right, because they were going to outsource the graphics, and compared to the firm, I think it was out of Albany, right?
I'm not sure what
the previous
firm
one
was out of.
I think it was Albany, right? I think.
DCI was they were in New York. The DCI is all over the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
A national firm.
Yeah, this one
Gotcha.
only has the one we're using now only has a presence in New York City.
Have they been able to come up and visit and tour around?
So they're planning to come up in April. You know, having some experience in this area with a municipality, we found that having somebody local, they're able to run to those events that we didn't have on the calendar. Sure. You know, when you place the call, hey, there's something going on at, you know, one of my favorite diners, since I'm a diners gal.
I would just add, we've been learning a lot about some of our state and statewide partners. So like for you guys, Fuse Hub or NYEDC, and how they've been piggybacking with YouTube or TikTok.
Right.
I mean, and you guys just had the meeting up in Albany, but it's just something that we're learning more with New York State Department of Agriculture. They're actually pushing clips on some of our projects into quick little YouTube thing. And so that's the other part for us. We're kind of small potatoes, but when we can ride the coattails of the state partners.
Yeah, correct. And where we're finding a challenge and friction, and not to really go too deeply in this, is because they're, you know, based out of New York City, they're not really tapped into what's happening. So they're more reactive as opposed to proactive. And there's far more of a requirement for me to say, hey, I just saw this somewhere, and then me filter it through and then send it out. Right. What's the point then?
Well, I always think that, often when you take on a new consulting company, you spend a tremendous amount of time basically teaching them
Correct.
what they should know. And so I always think that, you've got people who are really sort of teamed up with our associates like tourism and, other people, and because collectively
You're right.
they've obtained that information. So we should be really clear about trying to get those synergies where we,
Correct.
so maybe.
And just from their YouTube point, it's the second largest search engine behind Google.
Correct.
Yeah.
People are watching it, but if you're doing some TikTok and some vertical videos, you can post those short form vertical videos on your YouTube. So you get some double duty there.
Correct.
They're short enough.
Yeah.
Less, right?
The point is gathering the content.
Yeah.
If they're not local, getting the content again is fused through
Yeah,
us.
it's on you.
And, I really don't have the time.
It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time.
Right. Moving ahead really quick, you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that we all had enough time to ask questions and so on, both of
Absolutely.
Elaine and Todd. But,
Right, okay. Real quickly, we conducted 20 site visits in 44 and Q4, which exceeded target. Delivered counseling to 66 businesses in that same period of time. And so that is under our business expansion and retention. But adding in WEDC's contribution for Q4, they hosted 16 targeted workshops. So that's 320% of target. Offered many of those 16 workshops in Spanish, which was MWBE certification, marketing and digital tools, financial management and entrepreneurship, and of course, business, startup, and growth strategies. So in terms of, the focus on small business and ramping up their professional development skills, both WEDC and our business expansion and retention are, out there working directly with the small businesses. Something coming out of the New York EDC conference, which I attended last week, excuse me, is there is additional funding that will be coming down in the governor's budget should it pass, specifically to assist small and medium-sized manufacturing sites with modernization and equipment funding. And so we're looking forward to the budget passing. So that we can, align ourselves accordingly. The Council of Industries put in an application to be the intermediary should that pass the governor's budget. So they're already far ahead, and we will, of course, they're one of our partners, so we will align with them and how we can represent local for those small and medium-sized manufacturing firms. And that's it. I'd like to ask Legislator Mund as our incoming newest board member if he'd like to say a few words.
Nothing particular. I'm just looking forward to getting up to speed and doing the work.
I wonder if you might just give us a little insight into your background. And
Sure. So yeah, I've been in the legislature for 8 years. First stepped in at the beginning of 2018. My personal background is in IT, computers, databases, things along those lines. So organizational related topics and problem solving and things along those lines. I've done various things. I've run a local newspaper. I've been a private consultant IT consultant for 15, 20 years. Now I work for Penguin Random House, the multinational, and handle their internal e-commerce and things along those lines. Yeah, I live in Red Hook. Got 5 kids. I got remarried last year, so yeah, that's about it.
Guy can do a lot.
All at the age of 29.
And staying that
And
way, right?
staying that way.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you all. We look forward to the time of working together. Now, we I want to just make sure that everybody had time to ask any questions about all 3 of our presentations. And make sure that we're to scratch with that, nothing.
I don't know if Lorraine gave us our dollar amount, did you, for the savings for the county?
I'm sorry, what?
The savings for the
That
county?
number would be $851.
$850, and if you didn't exist, we'd have to pay in taxes,
That's
correct?
it, every household. Make up for that.
The number I like to see.
What was it, and what was it last year? Do you remember?
The year before, it was 819, so it went up to 851, something like that.
The revenue generated.
From taxes collected, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, $2.2 million a day spent on average by visitors in Dutchess County.
And how do we end up with the hotel room tax for 2025 after
It's over 5 million.
was that
Just
better than
count this county.
24? Because that was,
Well, it
we had
is,
this.
they added a percent, but at the same time, occupancy and demand were up 5%.
So they're coming
So
back to
it should
film?
Yeah, well, so that's the rub, is people are still coming to stay
Right.
and their budgets are fixed. And so if they're spending more in their rooms, we're seeing that the retail spending is way down and restaurant spending is way down. The
That seems
restaurant
to
cost,
be-
like the average credit card transaction is up because it costs more to go eat at a restaurant. So people are still spending on experiences at our farms and our wineries and our entertainment centers and all that because they value that, but they're spending less at those other places where they have some discretion.
Seems to be a national level though.
Absolutely, absolutely. But, talking to our data partners, we're probably in there, and these are nation and global wide. They said we're probably the top 10%, like people that are doing well. Most people stayed flat. A bunch of people went down. We're one of the few that went up. Good. So, we'll see how it shakes out overall spending wise. Is the revenue from the hotel stays enough to offset the decline in some of the other places?
Right.
Maybe it's kind of an interesting thing because taxes or the ability to raise revenues is always sort of an exciting thing for people who can. The county,
Especially for the legislature.
But none of it goes back to us. None of it's dedicated to us.
Right.
So we're not guaranteed what that is.
and we're seeing the benefits. I'm
Yeah.
wondering about other municipal entities latching onto this idea in the county.
And they're not sharing. They're putting it towards their general funds, or they're not solving any problems. They're not making any improvements that would benefit both residents and visitors. In terms of, thinking about just things like transportation, getting people to move around the county to some of the different attractions and things that we have in a better way, better parking, there's a whole host of things that could be done. And there's no consideration for that I'm hearing.
Which municipalities are those?
So the people the places that are collecting additional occupancy tax are the town of Fishkill, village of Fishkill, city of Poughkeepsie, city of Beacon, town of Poughkeepsie, Rhinebeck looking to add to that as well, which is that's a challenge because Kingston, we already lose room nights to Kingston, and it's half the cost. Right. In terms of what you're paying additionally on top of your room cost. So competitively, it's not great.
All right, good discussion, thank you.
Kingston's pretty far away from Poughkeepsie for a lot of people when they're locating, depending on, if you're doing.
Attraction
groups.
events are Hyde Park, Rhinebeck.
Rhinebeck feels like they have I'm not defending that but obviously Rhinebeck feels they have a value add that perhaps
It's
like
interesting
if Red Hook were to do it, for example, versus Rhinebeck.
it's interesting that they think that, because when you look at the data and visitors and where they're going, Rhinebeck doesn't even hit the top 5
Yeah.
in the county. It just feels like it.
Yeah.
It shows well.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
When you're there on a weekend.
Absolutely.
or on a- yeah.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Streets and-
It's one of those things that I kind of took for granted as we started traveling. We went to some places in like Connecticut and all that. We thought we'd have those cute walkable Main Street downtowns, and they do not exist. or they're so small that
You know, as a
it's like,
30-year resident,
Yeah.
Rhinebeck is somewhere where my wife and I are at, a couple times a month. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, it's the movies for us.
Right.
Yeah.
We're members.
Yeah.
And like,
Upstate's
it's
great.
place that and we come down from Germantown and I mean, it's a regular
No.
thing for us.
Yeah.
they've done a great job of, whether intentionally or not, curating the experiences available there. And so that's something that the city of Poughkeepsie could benefit from, especially the waterfront, is not just having all restaurants like you have on the Newburgh waterfront. What else are people gonna do after they eat? How do we keep them there? Can we do it with the boat cruise if we fix the docks? Can we do it with some shopping? Can we do it with some entertainment and concert venues down on the water? There's a lot of other things that we could do, that the city could do to build a really wonderful place for everyone.
All it takes is money.
Well, it takes more than that. It does.
You
You
don't-
have to have
you know what I
will.
Speaking of
Money, it doesn't matter what you want to do.
Speaking of money,
Yeah.
might be interesting, Todd, for us to know how much of that fairly large amount of federal and state grant money is coming down this way, south.
Yeah, we can break that out. So, beyond what we've done with the Farm Food Growth Funds and the meat process expansion, there are also some partner organizations that we work with, like the NASDA Foundation, which is the Association of State Agricultural Directors. They're overseeing some federal dollars that are being distributed throughout the Northeast from Maine to Maryland. And there are 52 awards within New York State that we're helping to manage. And then also through the New York Farm Viability Institute, which is one of our partner statewide nonprofits, they get annual appropriations from the New York State budget and do some competitive granting. And I know there were some awards also in Dutchess County, so we can break that out and put a full, beyond just what we're working on, our partner organizations and what we have some fingers on.
Excellent. Okay, so is there any more for the IDA?
No, that was it.
That being the case, we'll adjourn the IDA.